Who's in the untitled mailbox? One guess who? Who'd never ever start an argument? Who'd never show a bit of temperament? Who's never wrong but always right? Who'd never dream of starting a fight? Who's on your screen with the comic book scene? No one but Dan Shaheen.
Oh, hello world. Welcome back to the $1 Million Mailbox. It's me, your old pal, Dan Shaheen. Oh man, we've got a humdinger of a show tonight. You're gonna love it. It's tonight's always tonight somewhere. Wait a minute. Sorry guys. Hell of a show today. It's our all image spectacular. We're looking at Image Comics. We're looking at like a 90s revival, right? If you're at 90s kid and you're loving Image Comics like I didn't, okay, then you're going to love today's show. 90s Image Comics, what kind of drove me away from comics, like I was there, dude. I was at ground zero working in the comic shop when it happened. But I had been brought up in such a way where I was like, give me my Michael Golden. Give me my wonderful, fully rendered, composed stuff. All this flashy, fancy image stuff was not for young Danny. But I'm old enough now to recognize that maybe I've always been an old man. Like I was old before my time. So I was missing out what I was missing out on. And I think this is the same reason why punk rock music never did anything for me. Because it's all energy, right? It's about the energy. But that energy is undeniable. And the impact that it had on a generation of people, both punk rock music and Image Comics, comes from that same DIY, forget about the corporate guys, we can do it our way and have fun and make money doing it. And who can deny that? Like, that's awesome. The energy of that is fantastic. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to bring in our special guest. But first, let me bring in our regular co-host. You know him, you love him. He's Captain Fun. Hey, Larry, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, Dan, what's happening?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm kind of with you on the image thing, but for a slightly different reason.
Why?
I was in the comic stores too, but I was just in love with the whole 1980s black and white explosion.
Yes,
and
me too.
And so on paper, that was great. I loved, oh my God, all these guys like Todd and Wilcie Portacio, Jim Valentino, the guys you don't really think about, they're all going and doing their own thing. I'm like, wow, thank God, this is what I want out of comics. And they just did their version of Marvel and DC superheroes. So I'm like,
for the most part, that's how
I'm like, God bless them. That's great, but I'm gonna just go get some more Love and Rockets and Cerebus,
Okay. So now that we've given the bearded old curmudgeon view,
right.
How about we bring in some sunshine to chase away all this gloom? Now let's bring in. It's a return. This is the second crossover, right? This is not the first crossover. This is the second Cosmic Lion crossover. I've got him here on my headphones. I don't know if you can see that. But let's bring him in right now. You guys know him out there. If you've read Wizard magazine or you watch the any of his Matt Wagner Grendel related podcast, the official Grendel podcast, then you know Eli Schwab. Let's welcome him back. Welcome back, buddy.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm the bearded youthful Vision here.
Yeah, yes, you're on your way. There's radiations.
Yeah.
Yes, it only curls. It doesn't go down. It just curls tighter and tighter.
Dan and I were Brad Pitt and George Clooney when we were young. Just like you. You're both of them.
Just like me. I was a young Seth Rogen, and now I'm an old Seth Rogen.
Well, I was happy to find out today is like Star Trek Day.
Star Trek Day. The day it first aired on TV, I believe, is what today is.
Oh, okay. And I didn't know that, but we host Larry and I help Larry out on Serious Star Trek Fridays at noon on the internet. And who knew? I knew you were a dork, Eli, but I didn't know how far the dimensions. Like you're a multi-dimensional dork, right?
It's very deep. Yeah, one of my very first memories too. Like and I don't have many young memories, but I'm like 4 years old. But I have this distinct memory of my dad taking us to their friend's house and watching the first ep of TNG, and it just being like mind blowing to me. And, you know, I had the Galoob figures, I had, you know, Playmates figs, I have watched every single episode. It was like a family thing. And like, I still
That's awesome.
have like, and you can trace my growth because I look at Enterprise in a sad way because I didn't watch it with my parents. I was like, I'm going out to drink and smoke. I'm not watching Enterprise with you guys. So like, I had to, you know, it's like you can trace your growth through the series. You know,
That's cool.
I ended up watching it. You know, it's a whole family thing.
That's awesome.
Okay. Well, we got to bring you. We'll bring you in on serious Star Trek. But I just got to know. Are you hate watching some shows? Love watching? Like, what's your stack rank? Your current Trek shows?
That's a good question.
You know, I'm an eternal optimist type of dude. I strive to see the best in all these things. I love Star Trek to love it. So I don't hate any of it. Oh, you don't like it?
No, I
No.
And my optimism does have a cap, does have a ceiling, because Picard season 2, I tried so hard to keep my optimism going, but I'm like, what the fuck is the point of any of this? Like, what happened in that season? Huge opener, huge closer, everything in between. Why are we back in time? I live in LA, and I know that this car chase just went around the Staples Center. You didn't go anywhere. Like, I know that. I know where you are. And I'm like, this is just cheap. It was, oh my God.
Okay. You know, see, these are the kind of observations we need, Larry. We've got to bring Eli in for sure on Friday.
Yeah, no,
I'd love to.
Man, Star Trek is, I love Star Trek because everybody has an opinion on Star Trek.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, and my girl Denise Crosby's coming back for season 3, and that's Sela. Sela is the big bad.
So you're a next gen guy. That's cool.
I mean, it's like they say with SNL, like your favorite cast is the one you grew up with, you know?
Sure,
so
yeah.
Like, yeah, so it's like that was what I grew up with, so I loved it. But, you know, in rewatch, later seasons of DS9, Kills is so good.
Yeah.
Voyager is hit and miss. Enterprise, good stories, good development on that one. I love Lower Decks now, though.
Oh, dude, you and me both.
Oh,
like
and Strange New Worlds, though, that's your jam now, right?
Oh man, what's not to like? I bought this shirt before the show even aired, and I was like, I know it's gonna
be.
That's cool. I love Lower Decks myself.
Guys, before we dive into the mail to the $1 million mailbox, I got breaking news. Wait a second. This is really important to fans of this show because Graffiti Designs essentially made official what we kind of became apparent over the last 2 years during the pandemic. They sort of shut down production during the pandemic, but now I read on Bleeding Cool today, hey Rich, that they're done. They're packing it in. My source, my never-ending source of Mage Lightning Bolt t-shirts now is like, now they're going to become super collector's items. I'm bummed.
Me too. I always went to that website, even as far back as I can remember, getting the little magazines, the catalogs, and ordering all the Jay and Silent Bob stuff. And even when they were doing Marvel stuff, I was like getting in there. And oh man, this is a loss.
Yeah, Chappie, you know, he's an old man though. I think he's just retiring. You know, I mean, I'm sure that the last 2 or 3 years has not been kind to that kind of stuff. But
there's so much t-shirt competition now. It's everywhere.
But he's been doing the Lord's work for 40 years. I mean, I'm like, I'm kind of not sad. I'm like, yeah, man, you go enjoy the rest of your life. You worked like a dog for 4 decades. I think that Earth X collection he did, like, of course he's known for all his t-shirts and stuff, and that's awesome. But man, did Graffiti do a lot of like cool ancillary stuff too.
Yeah, they had Mobius stuff on there too for like face value. I bought like the signed Mobius book off them just for like $50, and they had all this. And like their website, I was looking, you can still get gallery editions. Like that's the only thing left on their website right now.
Yes.
If you click through, there's prints and gallery editions.
I bet just the rest of it isn't worth packing and selling. if you're an old man, you're trying to get out. Yeah, I'll put this, $200 thing in an envelope.
But dude, imagine for 40 years you're the comic book t-shirt guy, right?
Yeah.
And you're putting out the best fitting, like the ones that are known, they are the best. Graffiti,
Yes.
That's my favorite t-shirts always. But their taste in what they would do the tasteful logo shirts and the obscure ones like the Arkham Asylum prison guards and stuff like that.
Like in-universe shit. I love that shit.
So many weird, obscure things. But then, I have the LexCorp one. I have the Ferris aircraft one.
That's what I love about him is that we used to call that secret handshake, because like we're old enough that the Mage Bolt or the Badger logo, like you needed to know comics back then to know what that was. And so somebody coming up to you on the street going, "Hey, Larry." And I'm like, that's kind of my name. I'm the one Badger fan that doesn't like that joke. And then but you get to talk to somebody for like 10 minutes, some dude on the sidewalk. I don't know. They did Graffiti and Chapman. He did a lot of good stuff for the fans.
Agreed.
Guys, I might be breaking in. I don't know. Did you lose me for a second there? I kind of lost some connectivity.
Just a sec. You're a little spotty, but I just assume that's Humboldt County or wherever Arcata is.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. The boonies.
Yeah.
So if I do drop out, guys, just keep going for me, and I'll be back if anything happens.
Yeah, that's no problem. We might end up talking about Star Trek or Grendel.
Fine too.
Definitely.
So Graffiti, rest in peace. We're gonna miss those guys. But what I was gonna say, the point I was trying to make was like, can you imagine being that guy, and then you walk into like Target and you see every variety of shirt, like all those, even some of those weird, obscure, not done as well. Most of them not the same quality, but for like a quarter of the price and just sitting in mountains. It's at a bulk retailer. It must be kind of frustrating for somebody like that.
I went into a Target. That's the last time, I swear to God. So this was like 5 years ago, but the last time I thought of Chappie was when I was in a Target and I saw there was a rack. They had a big giant Shield logo, but it was on like this off reddish shirt, and it was like red, white, and blue, and like drippy and just like over designed. And I was like, what? Where are we that like this shirt even exists in a mass marketplace? It's like anybody who's really associated with that and working like a dog, it's just, I'm sorry, Target's blowing you out of the water. And so that he lasted this long is pretty impressive, I think.
Still tough to find. Like, find me a Nightwing logo shirt in an XL at Target in 100% cotton. It's going to be hard.
Yeah,
that's what Amazon is for, man.
Yeah. Now they're vintage, dude. Some of the things like that Mage T-shirt that I have, I've seen it online for a lot of money.
Yeah, I have an eBay alert for Matt Wagner shirts, and I've seen them go from like 40 to 50, and now they're going for like 150, and they're all graffiti.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Dan Moeller, what up, buddy?
Love that guy.
Sorry, yeah.
Just subscribe to Dan Moeller's YouTube channel, by the way. Go check it out, please.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Speaking of things you should check out. Are you guys ready? Are you ready to do this thing? Okay, let's do this thing. Let's jump in. Wait a minute. Where do we go to look at the latest and greatest in new comics? Only one place. The $1 Million Comics Cam, of course. So let's. Oh, Eli, show that. Yeah, hold that up for a second. We're going to take a look at this today. Why don't you just tell us what this thing is, and we'll dive first into this.
All right, man. This is Wizard, the comics magazine, not to be confused with Wizard from the 90s or Wizard from the 70s and 80s. This is a giant phone book style, and it is like a phone book because you use this to find all the newest people in comics. It's a collection of comics, articles, interviews, trade secrets, and amazing stuff. Our big interview this issue was with William Bill Stout, an amazing dude who's been everywhere, from drawing music festivals in the 60s and getting his notebooks stolen by Hell's Angels, to hanging with Mobius, to on movie sets and all this amazing stuff, to painting in Antarctica with penguins. So It's just an amazing collection that I edited and put together over the course of a few years. This one took a little longer due to the pandemic, but it's amazing. It's a phone book. There's a few left you can still get on cosmiclionproductions.com, and it is 420 pages. That just happened. I didn't plan that.
I can attest to that there are some left, because this is one of those times when I went out of pocket, because I was looking at this thing and I'm like, I gotta get this. I can't just wait for people to send me free comics all the time.
Right.
Sometimes I actually pay for them. But hey, if you do want to send in free comics, by the way, there's one place that you can send them: to the $1 Million Mailbox, P.O. Box 1163, Arcata, California, 95518. Send them to me. I'll spread them out with me, probably Larry, maybe a special guest. We'll take a look. We'll give you the goods.
You guys heard about this Jason Pearson thing about saying he's,
Oh, yeah.
So we don't have to get into that, but like gatekeeping, like
we should.
I just want to give Eli a compliment first, and then we can do it later. But I'm just using that as a springboard. In that guy's like going, you got to pay your dues, and I'm like one of these people, like, Eli, I just got to give you a giant like pat on the back, because I don't think regular people understand what kind of logistical production nightmare 400-page book is. I mean, that's a feat, man. So right on to you and all the contributors. That's crazy. And you get to stay in Jason Pearson's comic book industry, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you for bringing that up, Larry, because this thing is like, really is like a fanzine, or it's the next generation of
right.
A
400-page
that's
book.
why I called it a magazine.
Yes.
A 400-page book with that pretty cover is just like a murder weapon that's going to give you away right away.
Yes. Shout out to Matthew Allison, who is no longer up and coming. I think that maybe when I contacted him a few years ago, he was like maybe still up and coming, that people didn't know him, but now I think he's making a huge smash with Cancor. And I just bought this from him hand to hand, but like only months later he was like with the art agent, and you had to sign up on a list, you had to do all this stuff. And so I was lucky enough to get him colored by Sam J. Royale. And
how ironic would it be if Gareb Shamus left you alone, but then you got sued for using magazine, like 2000 AD came after you?
Oh, well, I didn't realize they even did that. They use that already?
That's what the 2000 AD is, the magazine, the 2000 AD magazine.
God. I did.
I
didn't know that. I came up with it on my own.
Now, I'll talk to Pat Mills. He's a pal. We'll smooth it over.
Now, hey, to the Star Trek fan, there is this mini comic in here called Kirk Picard, Hero of the Spaceways. That was a really fun one that they did.
I mean, there's so much in here, Eli, that there's no way that we're going to be able to look at every page.
Oh, no. Well, something that...
a little bit as we talk about it. I'll just keep leafing through.
Okay, like the thing was, yes, and Ken Landgraf did that. We got to work with him a little bit. He's a very cool guy. If you like his art, he sells it for criminally cheap on eBay. I mean, under $100 you can get like a figure. So like, it's insane. But I mean, another thing with the pandemic that this allowed me to do is that things kind of got compounded and then pushed back, and other projects were happening. And so people continue to submit. And it was to the point during the pandemic where I was like, people just need something. And so I didn't turn anyone down at all. Every single person that submitted to me, it got to a point where I was like, people just need this, and they want to be in it, and I want them to be in it. And I want this person who maybe just started making comics like a year ago, I want them to be in here with Rick Veitch and Bill Stout, and like, I just want them to have that feeling like, I'm in this book with these amazing people who, Brian Talbot or whoever else, like, it's just a good feeling to like, to be in this thing. I hope for people, I don't want to put it in their face, but and I got Ed and Jim to be a part of it. Yeah, that's
got to be the same good feeling that like the original APAs had, because they got pros mixing it in with amateurs. And then my point was, you saw some of those amateurs of those APAs. If you look at those old things, they are the rock solid pros of today. Right. And I think the same is true for at least several of the contributors to the magazine that I've seen. Like, the quality it really surprises me, especially because, like I said, I don't like Image Comics all that much.
Yeah.
But I love the pastiches and the passion and the quirkiness that's put into these things. It's making me really enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah. And, like I was, again, I'm a little younger than y'all. And so Image kind of did hit me right in the core. And so like when they split off, it was like this amazing thing. And I was reading Wizard but I still kind of got like, I didn't love the books, and I read Spawn and like Youngblood up to like issue 2, and I never got very far. Yeah. But then Joe Madureira X-Men came, and I was like, okay, now I don't need your books. Like, and that's what I loved. And then I was into Generation X. That was like my shit because I was like a young kid, and that was like my young team, and so I quickly left the Image thing and went to more like underground stuff too, and Generation X, and then I read Jim Mahfood's Generation X Underground, and then that blew my mind, and then I started looking for the Black and White Explosion stuff, and so I quickly was able to like kind of move along home.
So many,
Space Nine.
Not many people follow that path. Like,
yeah,
when you start with the Image stuff, like sometimes, usually it was like kids I knew, they got that stuff because of the speculator boom and the hype and everything else.
Right.
There was just the stories, as cool as some of the artwork really was, just were so vapid and unengaging and uninspired.
Right. Yes.
Like
there was nothing there. There was really nothing
to them. Yeah, I hated it. That drove me away a lot because we already had those great writer-driven comics by that time. So to see Todd, like the writing was on the wall when Todd left Amazing Spider-Man and started writing Spider-Man, and it became like a horror book.
Yeah,
that just tonally just didn't fit Spider-Man. But dude, tell me about this guy and Chris Missimo.
Oh, Missimo is the man. Yes, he is amazing. He's one of my favorite artists. Sorry, guys, my computer's dying. I just need to.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, anyway, this is one of those guys who really sticks out, and I know he's done some professional work.
He has done a lot of stuff, yeah. And he just did this book, Time Shopper, which is like a huge, just amazing Kickstarter that they did about this dude who like travels through time, and like, they for their Kickstarter they made like a fake Mickey Mantle rookie card with like Time. There it is, yeah, Time Shopper in the background, and they got old reprints of Action #1 and took the covers off and put their own new covers on. And like, it's just really a fun book. He's amazing. And, he's doing a lot of work. Jerome Cabanatan, another dude who's like, when I first met him, he had these, drawings that he made with a mouse on an old computer. And now he's like got an iPad and pencil, and he's making these amazing comics. And it's just amazing. The people we've met through this Cartoons Kayfabe group,
that first computer comic Shatter was, I'm always so impressed by that because he was drawing with a mouse, and the old 1985 mouse was like a bar of soap.
Yes.
And just doing everything pixel by pixel. So right on, Jerome. That's
do you remember taking the ball out of those things and cleaning it
off? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Everybody with a beard had to do that every 3 days.
Yes. My dad was a computer programmer too. So, growing up, we had, look at this segue. What's that ad for?
Well, we're going to be talking about that next. We're going to be talking about The Makers by Dave Howlett. Now, this is one that, man, he sent me Makers #1 so long ago. And I'm sorry to say, it's the only comic that got lost when I did a studio move. I combed the $1 Million Studio and could not find my copy of Makers #1. And I wrote to him like begging, hat in hand, saying how sorry I was. And he's like, "Oh, dude, no worries. Here's all 4."
Oh, right
on. We'll talk about this in a second. But we're doing Image fanzine right now. This is Image fan,
like as a world. It's like a story that takes place in the Image as a world, the Image comics creators universe.
Well, the creators are the characters. It's crazy.
Right.
It's wild.
It's like Galaxy Quest meets Image almost.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Dude, it's really wild. We'll dive into that in just a second. I just want to finish up. I just want to talk about this.
Shout out to my dude, Rocco Jerome. Yeah, we got Brandon. Oh, there you go.
I especially want to say Eli being smart and sending extra swag. We love extra swag on this show.
Yeah.
This is what we look at this foil lenticular stuff. I love it.
Yeah, man. Jim Ruggs sent me a whole huge stack of those Hellboy peanut riffs, and I just find it goes so far when you get the like thank you letter. Because if I order something from a creator and it's just a comic in a box, I feel less connected to it and less likely to like really adapt it into my heart or something like that. But when I feel that connection and that creator sends a little thank you, even if it's Xeroxed, because I Xerox these, but for Dan I wrote a little extra. But like even if it's just the Xeroxed, like that's the extra level that they went to make that connection to their reader, which goes long.
Totally, dude.
Dude, I love that.
You guys recognize my logo? You guys are old enough to recognize where I got that logo from. My dad made it for me. No, it's Emerson. It's the Emerson, Lake and Palmer logo. My dad's favorite band. He's like, wait a second.
How old do you fucking think I am, dude? Please.
Well,
come on.
Wait.
Hey, that was my first show. Yeah, go ahead.
Before you get too far from it, I just want to shout out that you adapted it into your heart. What a perfect way to explain reading some new stuff and going, oh, like this is an instant favorite.
Right.
And so
because it speaks directly to your like comics.
Yeah, man. That's just a cool poetic way of putting it.
Hey, thanks, man.
That's how I feel about that Shelley Bond. I got my Shelley Bond book from last week, and
amazing.
Oh my god, it's very similar thematically to this, right?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, this is Bernie Moreau's first new published work in 10 years. He sent this to me.
Whoa.
Yeah, I love Bernie Moreau. He's a great dude.
The jam.
The jam is my jam.
Right. I just reached out to him a few years ago, being like, I'm an up and coming publisher. I would love to like publish the jam. I'd love to work with you however I could. And we just kind of struck up a friendship. I helped him launch his TeePublic shop. And so we got like shirts out to people, jam shirts. We like got the anticipation of the jam coming back. And so it was really fun to work with him. I think he took to me a little extra because his son's named Eli as well. Aww. He had some comics about that. So that
he adapted you into his heart.
Exactly.
And am I wrong or didn't he work on Mage as well?
He did Grendel. He did a ton of Grendel work because
Grendel, tons of
The Devil Inside, the Brian Lee Sung stuff, and he had a long run as colorist too, doing paint jobs.
Okay, yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he lived with Matt. Him and Joe Matt and Bernie Moreau all had this thing in like Montreal. I think they were living together and hanging out and smoking tons of weed and making comics, which they need a movie about that. Yes, Bill Stout. Oh my God, what an amazing dude. I worked Comic-Con.
Dinosaur pictures in
here? Yeah, there absolutely is.
Yeah, here we go.
There you go. Yeah. Oh my God, he is so good. And I've had comics of him in my collection. I didn't even realize that he did like the cover for, or like, there's the one that has like LSD stories or weird trips or something like that. I think is one. And the Fear and Laughter comic, the like Kitchen Sink Press Hunter Thompson book, and just so much shit. I didn't do as many Wizard sidebars this issue. I tried to. The first one was like I did it very wizardly, like. But the second one I kind of tried to like. Yeah, exactly. I tried to like break out. Like I tried to do a Rolling Stone riff for his interview and stuff. But I tried to mix it up and for issue 3, I was really trying to be more like those collections of comics where it's like the greatest underground comics of 2019. There's like hardback with like Chris Ware, Dan Clowes or some covers. But the fans want another wizard, so I'm going to do another wizard. And you can email me your submissions if you want to submit to wizard@cosmiclionproductions.com. I'm taking submissions and I'm going to close them off. Like I'm not going to take everything this time. I don't want to do 420 pages. It costs too much to ship, costs too much to print. And I almost want to move away from this type of thing because I've been doing fanzines for a little while and you can't get your artists paid. And I know everyone makes the joke like, oh, I'm not going to do this for exposure. And that's kind of what I'm like expecting people to do. And I kind of like am trying to get out of that because I want to create a situation where we're printing comics and getting artists and writers paid. So I don't know how long I'm going to keep
I like the way Ben Dunn does it. You know, he does like basically a sales-based royalty. So for his artists, like he takes submissions for his anthologies, and it's like, look, I'll pay you a little. The page rate is small, but there's a royalty. It probably won't sell more than a couple hundred copies. You'll probably get like a couple bucks. But if it goes big, you will get paid. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that kind of promise is sometimes the best that you can ask for.
For sure. And for issue 3, I'm not as much soliciting people to make new work, but I'm thinking of this as kind of like a trade magazine. Like if you have a book, if you have something you're working on, you know, let me publish the first 5 pages as a teaser and we'll interview you and we'll have a little bit of a thing. So it's kind of like, you know, it's like previews or something in a way. So
promotional, dude. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not asking for new work. I'm like, you know, helping.
Dude, I'd rather read this version of previews than the real version of previews.
Yeah, for real.
Hey, shout out to Jeffrey Allen, member of the group who does the preview show. He's a good guy.
Also, that makes that exposure thing go down a little easier because you're not asking for new work, and you're providing value to those cats. There's 5 pages of stuff in an interview. Come on,
I think so
too.
I would do
in an era where everybody's selling to their own audience and nobody's in the comic shops. How are you going to get exposure? How do you get, how do you trigger the algorithm? You got to get out there.
That's a good idea.
Hey, this is my artist, Ben Granoff. Oh yeah. Sorry. Previous was Ben Granoff, my co-host from The Devil in Detail, the Grendel Reread podcast. Available on all podcast platforms. Yeah. He's a great, great dude. And hey, we even get Palmer's picks. Tom Palmer Jr., he's so down. He's so cool. He's like, just tell me when the next issue is. I'll do it. And it's like,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's super cool guy.
Oh, it's the real Paul? It's the real guy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I did not know that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and for the first one, he did like the Palmer's picks. My idea, I guess, was Palmer's picks. So it was like a best of Palmer's picks. He picks the picks, his favorite picks. And then this one, he did a new one. And I went out and bought these comics immediately. I was like, I'll beat the rush.
I will say that guy had great taste in comics, still probably has great taste in comics. He read all that good stuff. The only place they're talking about the good stuff was in his column sometimes.
Right. And that was a little nugget of gold. And here we got Brandon Graham, another artist that I really like. And, he was just someone I reached out to. And he was like, these are my notebook comics. These are my journal comics. He just sent them out to me.
Oh, dude.
He's good. And he has a very singular eye. And Jim Food,
He only has one eye? Dude, that's amazing.
He has one eye. And it's the third eye.
Mahfood. I got a quick story about Mahfood that's cool.
Nice.
We published this book called Electric Girl. And it's actually our best-selling book because it's sold to libraries. It struggled to do 1,000, 1,200 copies in the direct market. And we would do 4 printings of
sold a ton of those.
Giant trades. And so, of course, Hollywood gets involved, and they started pitching it as a cartoon to somebody. I didn't pay attention to other media, but they hired Mahfood to do the stuff for the cartoon, and I was like, I don't think this is going to sell, but I want to live in the reality where there's a Jim Mahfood based Electric Girl show. Because I love that guy's art.
Now that you mention it, I had a big all ages section, and I sold a ton of that book to the libraries. I remember I sold one to every public library in San Jose. Electric Girl. Nice. Thank you, Larry.
Yeah.
And shout out Craig CK, man. He's another pillar of the community who did all the art for the new Ghost Agents, which is our Kickstarter right now. I'm packing orders for Ghost Agents 3, and we always try to set it up so we're packing the orders for the previous Kickstarter when we launch the new Kickstarter. And we don't launch a Kickstarter before the book is fully done. And which I know is not something everyone does. Here's me waiting on books from people. But like
that should be
and no
industry
shade.
standard, dude. That's the
It
way.
really
No, that's
should.
you're doing. If you're unproven,
Yeah,
it
100%.
should be that way. It should be that
Right.
way. If you've got a track record and people know you can produce and everything else,
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who backed. Speaking of Jason Pearson, his 2015 Kickstarter is
about that.
almost ready to ship. Right, like that's the professionalism that the industry is really looking for.
That's
these
right.
days.
Throw
I
away
did
your Grendel
Astra-
Black, White, and Reds with Jason Pearson in them. Nah, just kidding. He did a Grendel story for that.
He was hot, dude. He is hot. He's
He
a great penciler with a great vision and a style all his own that's instantly recognizable. It is really
sure.
hard to do what he does.
That's right. Maybe he should think about being more inclusive. Jason
try to be
Barron's,
nice.
dude.
Try to be nice.
Yeah, this guy's an amazing artist too.
Oh,
And
dude, this is beautiful.
oh man, he's got Kickstarters going too. You should look him up. He has this amazingly beautiful style too. It's simplistic yet, I don't know, like he builds, his world building is amazing too.
Nice use of color too.
Like Western fantasy, kind of like Wild West Hobbiton kind of shit. Oh, it's beautiful. These guys too. Oh, Shortbox Podcast. Shout out Shortbox Nation. Nah, they're a great podcast, and that's how Botter introduces every episode. Yeah, they're great.
Okay.
Dude, just so much great. Redback Armageddon, all the way from Australia. Oh,
it's
my
packed
God.
full of comics, and not just little like 1-page strips. It's packed full of full of meat here.
Yeah, 10 pages was the max I would take, and some people were like, "Here's 10 pages," and I was like, "Holy shit, okay."
Wow.
Yeah. And for a lot of the big stuff, I really wanted to do little interviews. I wanted to make sure that people knew who these people were first, and then you would read the book, before or after. And then I also wanted all the information, and I will say that Jim and Ed on Cartoonist Kayfabe went through Wizard 1. And I took notes on the shit, because like here's someone giving you real-time feedback that's non-biased,
Yes,
my mom
right.
told me it's
Yes.
amazing with no problems, and I was like, I think I need a second opinion. I love you, Mom. If you're watching,
Dude, Rusty Gilligan sounds like maybe either a drink or a sex act.
I know, right?
He
was a child actor that,
Yeah, who is that guy? I know him from something.
He was a child actor who became a comic book writer. I didn't know a ton about him. This was a fan submitted article, and so I just kind of learned a little bit about him from the article.
Oh, right on. I may have to look that up. Not right now, of course.
I mean,
I'll send you a copy, Wizard.
I don't want to give anything the short shrift here, but I'm dying to get
tough.
to.
I know there's so much in here.
I'm dying to get to. Man, there's so many good comics.
Shout out Tony Farrow. He wanted to be here.
Yeah.
And yep. That's oh my God. I'm sorry. I've hung out with him in real life. Mark Darden.
Yeah,
Mark Guano guy. Tony Farrow.
Both these guys have been on.
Martin Darden just showed up on my Facebook yesterday. I'm like, who's
He's a
this
good
guy
dude.
talking like he knows what he's talking about? Like, that's awesome.
Yep. And here we got Fucking Around with Figs, another Wizard style article. And that's Punker Mike. He's great. He's an amazing, and he curates that whole thing too with a bunch of different creators. Another group of creators who just came to me out of the blue with this amazing thing. It really blew me away too, how much. Hey, shout out these guys. I forgot a page in their comic. I'm really sorry about that. This wasn't perfect. I forgot like the last 2 pages of this comic or something like that.
Oh,
It sucks, man.
I know that you won't look at like how genius that is. You will only see the errors.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
I feel bad, man. I feel you though.
I forgot an ad too, a paid ad from Tales to Enlighten dudes. Shout out them. I'm sorry about that as well. This was an interesting thing I found, which was like an old school. I always try to put in some old stuff, and this was like Ditko's one of his earliest works for Simon Kirby, and he submitted it, and they didn't like this like evil character that Ditko did. So Kirby went in and drew a new character. Different times throughout the thing. So it's like this is Kirby and Ditko kind of like in the same panel, and I thought maybe it was like one of the only times that they were really in the same page at the same time. Maybe there was some other times that it happened, but this was just a very interesting thing. And they cut out the final panel, which would have given it that like EC twist, and that's this included voice thing right here, and they put a pimples ad, like in the comic. It says, "Do you have pimples?"
That's
So
insane.
like if you
Okay,
maybe
guys.
we lost it. Okay, there we are.
No. Pop quiz for you. I just one question: Kirby or Ditko?
Oh Jesus!
What's your answer?
Mine's I think Ditko when I was a kid because it was really trippy and I enjoyed it. And Kirby's like square fingers and crazy shit like kind of frightened me a little. But as an adult, I think Commandy is like one of the best comics ever made. So it's like as I grew up and my tastes evolved, I was able to appreciate Kirby for more than just like the first reaction you get as a kid. Man,
I think maybe I'm like
I love
the
Doctor
opposite.
Strange though. That was awesome.
Yeah, I
The
think I was
correct
like
answer,
more Kirby.
in case you're wondering, correct answer is Kirby for the influence, but it's Ditko for the comics. That's my answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those 2001
just
comics by Kirby are unparalleled.
Oh, dude, I love those. That's my
those
dream MCU thing now. It's like just
Those are
fucking
nuts.
do Machine Man. Just
Be
do
insane.
Machine Man.
That'd be amazing.
Anyway, sorry.
Well, you were talking Earth X earlier too. The fact that Earth X opens with the monolith, and then X-51 and shit is amazing.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, talk a little bit about the price guides and the checklist, and then we'll wrap this
Hey,
up.
I thought of this idea super quickly, and Joe Janowski made that Bane Kraken Detective open. Yeah, and that is available on our TeePublic. That is a Wizard T-shirt you can buy right now of the Bane Breaker, the Slab Breaker.
As great as that is, I love
this stuff's amazing.
these prices where you did the 2020 price versus the
that's Darden again.
Prices is great because with a couple of notable exceptions like Amazing Spider-Man 300, we're still, even as they say that there's a collectibles bubble and the prices are high and everything else, we're still not at the prices even with no inflation adjustment. Like that was a fucking sickening bubble. Then.
It was crazy, and it was inflated by Wizard. And I think there's influencers trying to do that same thing now, like Key Collector and these like apps that inflate shit. And,
Man, that's too much for me to keep track of. Like even at the time when I was younger, it's just like, man, all I got time for is to buy the stuff I read and enjoy, because like otherwise it's just a grind, and I don't know. I really admire folks who do that, honestly. But at that point, it just turns comics into moving cans of beans around, right? I mean,
exactly. Are you even reading it? Are you in it for for these amazing stories, or? Yeah, I'm in it for the amazing stories. Like I watched the Paper Girls TV show, loved it, and then read 700 pages of Paper Girls like in a week because I was like, this story is insane and I love it. So it's like that's what it's about. Either way it goes, because like they're turning these little these indie comics into shows too, and you don't have to be gatekeepy in that you should have read the comics first. Oh, you didn't know the comics, and like, of course I heard about the comics, but it took me watching the show to be like, shit, I need to dive into these comics enough. And oh man, I loved it. I think it's
awesome that these all indie things are coming out at all, like Grendel, man. Like,
oh my god,
if you had talked to me in college, I made a Grendel mask. I like got some, pulled the screen out of my window, the house I was renting, and cut little things, painted it white. So
speaking of graffiti, you used to be able to get those. I have my Grendel mask right there from graffiti.
Yeah,
that's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Matt told me that he bought up most of what was left and sent them all to the cast of the Grendel show.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, good old Matt.
Yeah,
well, I love this check. This is the kind of thing that would have been boring if it had just been like typeset. And I just love the obsessive collectors. No, this is like those guys that are coming into my shop and they've got this is what's in their pocket.
He actually sent it again to me too because he forgot some stuff. And he like redid a whole
page. So he did it again?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He was like, wait, I forgot 2 issues and shit. So, And then here's that price guide is like the creators in the book and in the cartoonist kayfabe crew. Like these are their books. And I said, don't it's a little bit tongue in cheek. Don't send me like the real prices. Like blow yourself up. Like go crazy, you know. And so there is it's a lot of jokes in here. Like I have comics that their worth is like, you know, a rum and coke or something like that. Or, you know, I wanted people to like inflate their shit. And, you know.
Oh man, John K. Snyder 3.
He's so great. We had just done his interview for our Grendel cast. We just finished the God and the Devil run, and we had him and Jay Geldof on, and so we were chatting. And I was like, "Oh man, I need the Wizard interview at the end." So I was like, "Yeah."
What was his first thing? Was that Fashion in Action?
Fashion in Action, yeah.
Dude, I love that so much.
I think he has a new release of that, a new trade or something
right
of that just came out.
That's cool.
Hell yeah. Dude, Wizard, y'all, still available at cosmiclionproductions.com. They all come with stickers and that Jim Rugg postcard, and I always throw in some extra shit.
Eli, what's your
Yeah.
Just do your email address again, because I have a question. When you said it was wizard at
well, that's to submit for Wizard. It's wizard
Yeah.
at cosmiclionproductions.com, or
But
to just get me, Eli at cosmiclionproductions.
it's just an E though. It's like not a 3.
Wizard.
Right?
Yeah, it's just an E for the
all right, right on.
email.
And there are different versions
For
available.
the kids.
There's the foil version
Not
cover,
anymore. The foil sold out. Yeah, there's only like 25 of those, and
I
so
missed
I
my
forced
chance.
exclusivity. Yeah.
I missed my chance. I had a chance to get in on the ground floor of the foil, and I missed it. And now I have that FOMO of the next one. So I'm going to be like camping out on the Cosmic Lion website.
Oh,
Okay.
man. I love the
You-
possibility of doing that foil. It's like you kind of have to stay true.
Eli, you've proven your bona fides as a fan, as a creator, as a publisher. Like, this is a love letter. It didn't have to be this good. It didn't have to be this good.
Well, again, the pandemic gave me a lot of time. And so during that pandemic, like a lot of people, I was drinking a lot of whiskey. And so on these nights when I was like staying up late, all I would do for hours, flip through every single page, move this here, add this here, do this cool thing here, like just spend the time every single day, like in all these pages. And like, this is 420 pages, but I could tell you something about every single page. I know every single page front to back. And like, you know, there's a new one coming. And if I can quickly segue, coming on September 12th, I'm doing a full relaunch of cosmiclionproductions.com. I've got 4 new books coming out, starting with shit, man, where is it? Oh, Weird Myths. I met these amazing creators from Turkey, and they did this amazing comic. This will be the newest book. It's 8.5 by 11, and it's all these wordless, almost like etchings of these weird myths. They would work perfectly as GIFs. Like they're these little movements, very Sergio Aragonese, very like interesting, creative. And when I just saw this comic, people submit stuff to me, and I was just like, this is amazing. I need to get this out there. So
kind of Peter Cooper-ish, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was just super excited. This is like a riff on like an old horror comic. I can't remember what it was called. Weird something. But so this is the new book. Then I'm doing a reprint of shit, man, I should have had this ready. Kevin Anthony Catalan's Space Knights, which is absolutely insane book. It's like super high. It's like almost like Alexis Zirrit meets Jim Mahfood. It's like super cool space fighting book. And I'm reprinting issue 1. He's doing a handmade like 1/2. That's like 11 by 17 folded over on this old school paper. And then we're doing a brand new issue 2 that's going to be like another 90 pages like this.
Dude.
So we got that.
Okay.
So there's a lot coming from Cosmic Lion. Tony Wolfe, who is a New York Times cartoonist. I'm publishing his collection of personal work, and then more to come. Arcane number 3. Oof.
I did.
Yes,
if you don't want to shoot me copies of this stuff,
Those I will.
PDFs. I'll definitely talk about them.
No, these I will shoot you. Weird Myths only printed like about 200, I think. So it's a low print run. I'm testing the waters. I don't like to print too many because Ghost Agents number 1, I can't even use the sink in my bathroom over here because it's just box. It's not
Yeah.
How many individual things have you published like this year, say? It's a lot, right? I mean,
it's 5 or 6 or 7, including the zines and
it's just you and your
Citizens of
buddies,
Atlantic.
right? I mean, that's insane, that amount of work.
Well, I mean, I cultivate a crew of creators that I work with, but I don't like to. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but like when it comes to the publishing and the layouts, like it's just me like packaging and printing and getting the boxes and doing that stuff. But again, the team I work with, like especially Rocco Jerome on Ghost Agents, I mean, you're only as good as like the creative team you get with, and he is a ball busting, creative, on time workaholic. Like he is there with it, keeping me real. Craig CK on this new one, working so hard. Everyone at the Next Panel press crew, because they just got me on. Then I was making comics every 2 weeks, and now I have my little trade, my little 4x4 trade of Citizens of Alonia, the crazy weird. There's a total of 8 wall breaks in that one. I break the 4th wall, and then I break the 4th wall of that 4th wall. So much so that I got completely lost and had to just stop the comic. But it's still a good read.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to those. I look forward to. Oh yeah, I look forward to reviewing any and everything.
Hey, Love and Grendels is a free zine due to Matt Wagner, who was so generous enough to let us even play in his world of Grendels. But like, it's his creation, and he holds it very close to the heart, which I totally understand. So this is a free zine. All you got to do is leave 5-star review on iTunes, send me a photo, and I'll send it out to you for free.
Sweet.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
And that features John K. Snyder, Geldof, not Jay Geldof, but Joe Matt, the Panda Bros, tons of production art and stuff.
Prepare yourself for the comic book news $1 million mailbox bump, dude. I'm talking.
Dude, I'm ready.
There's dozens of eyeballs right now looking.
There's dozens. Hey, that's more than I was gonna reach this morning.
Okay, let's talk.
Man, you can't count how big the audience is because you never know whose life you're changing with this crazy stuff, man.
I love it, man.
It's quality, not quantity for this audience.
Exactly, sure. and that's what I'm here. That's what I want to do. Is just like if I can make that one person, shout out to Peter Hensel, who just recently published his first comic. Didn't even really think he could draw, but he joined us on the first Ringside Thology, which is like a riff of the Meltdown Comics thing where you'd come to Meltdown once a month, draw a page, and it would go in the zine. And Peter came that first time and said I gave him, the chutzpah to continue. And he is now publishing his own book. He's drawing, he's coloring. So, anytime someone tells me something like that, it just, my heart grows awesome, 3 sizes.
As a fan, man, this is bringing this back to Matt Wagner. I remember super clearly walking into the comic store and seeing Kamiko Primer number 8 or whatever it is, number 1, whatever 2. whatever the first Grendel was.
Yeah.
And as I'm reading it, I'm like, I don't know what the deal is with this guy, and the art is only 80% of what I think is cool, but the energy that was coming off that page, it's like whoever this dude is, he's not letting the fact that he's not 100% professional yet get in the way of telling the story he wants to tell. And I'm like, I am on this forever. And so it's been super cool to see the arc of his career over the decades,
It's really cool too because he let us in on these college comics that he did. So this is a strip from his college newspaper down here. Sorry, wait, where? Oh yeah, and you can still see some of the stuff that makes up Mage and those eyebrows and eyes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this is so that's from his college newspaper. So it's just wild, how he grew as an artist.
I've always said Mage is one of those books where you get to see him go from, I would say he was not of professional caliber of the day, for Marvel DC when he started that book. But then by the end of it, it's so much better than anything coming out.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah.
You get to watch that happen in the course of really he hit his stride within the first few issues of Mage, I think. But by the end, the compositions, the colors, the designs, the stories, the thoughts behind it, Wagner's on a whole other level.
Oh, he's the man. I couldn't
It's
talk
a level
about
you
him
won't
all
even.
day.
So Eli, you inspired that guy to do his own comics, and check out the last thing in the comments. Eli made me feel okay about drinking whiskey alone late at night during the lockdown.
Yes,
That's a big achievement too, man. Like that was a rough time for some people.
it was rough. It
That's
was
Yeah.
rough.
That's funny because the pandemic had trade-offs, right? It was like you had all this time, and you could take that time and you could spin it into gold, or you could fritter it away. And I'm not saying one's better than the other, but clearly, dude, you took a path of spinning and made it. You could have drank and played video games that whole time.
Right. Yeah. I don't play video games. Maybe that's a thing about my
Me
productivity.
neither.
I mean, I will. I have a Raspberry Pi here that's got every game possible, but it's like I still don't play it very often.
I just love, I mean, we're all like, working for ourselves, guys. So like when the quarantine happened, I was like, all right, this is what we've been training for. I spent the last 20 years in a room by myself anyway. And so now you're telling me my wife and my kid have to hang out with me? This is joy.
Okay. Guys, let's talk
we
about
gotta
Makers
talk about Dave.
because I got to get out of here reasonably soon.
Star Trek Day is about to start.
This is amazing. This is an amazing.
It's so good.
I didn't know what to think of it. I didn't know what to expect. And I'm on issue 4. I got the first 4. There's going to be 6 in total. I have no clue where it's going, but I'm sucked in and I want to know. So there's not any better praise I can give of a book than that. But
as a publisher, you see it's newsprint. It's printed on newsprint. It's like got that feel. It's the old school. Yeah. Oh my God.
This guy loved comics. He loved single issue comics. He was there. He's channeled that into this book where I opened it up and I'm like, oh, it's going to be like an Image wannabe, like Spawn, like okay, I'll check it out. All right.
That's what it wants you to think.
That's what it wants.
Exactly what it wants you to think. Yeah.
But then soon enough, you're sucked into this world where, okay, it's not the Image creators, but it obviously is the Image creators, right?
Right. A group
very
of creators who struck out. Yeah.
But also very specific differences that make it like you couldn't say, like, this guy's obviously Todd McFarlane, but he's obviously not Todd McFarlane, right? Only if reading it would you understand the connection to Spawn and Spider-Man, how he came on as a hot artist, and it basically, and then one of the characters is a woman, so right there they've gender swapped it. So that took it to a different level of reality, and I think has automatically alienated 90% of the comic fans out there. At least if you believe what YouTube has to say.
Right. Is there twerking? Right.
Oh God.
No, but when you have talent,
yeah.
Oh, we love it, dude.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah.
It could be worse. It could be better, but it could be so much worse. We've seen so much worse.
Yes.
But this is
right, and it flashes back to like the golden age too, and they're at a con, and it's like the 20th anniversary or something, much like the Image anniversary. Then it flashes back, and oh man.
Yeah, the creators are at a panel. It's sort of
look at that McFarlane page right there. Yeah. I mean, that is
very McFarlane. And as you read the story, and each issue, you get a little bit more about the individual creators' backstories and how the parallels that they tell. And like, Rob doing the Spike Lee commercial and that leading to fame, and Todd McFarlane really going, like, having that come to Jesus moment when he realized he's like, man, they're using my shit on everything. And I got paid once. Forget that, hoser. And he went on and did.
I need to buy like baseballs with this money. All right, I need to do big things.
Okay, but so they get basically. I'm gonna spoiler alert if you really care, but I'm not gonna give away the ending because I don't know it yet. But this group of people called the Makers basically kidnaps the original Image creators and takes them to a crazy universe and says, "I need you to fight God for me." Right? Like these weird aliens show up and literally do say, like, our boss is God and we need you to fight him for us.
Yes.
And that's just where it kicks off. What I loved about each issue, though, at least for the first 3, he didn't do this for the 4th, and I'm a little disappointed, is some of the backup material. Like he does a Stan soapbox here, and at the top it shows how this appeared in #1 of all Miracle Comics titles that shipped in the week of April 14th, 1993. Weeks before the top 5 left Miracle from Attitude Comics. So he goes back and he like writes things from the perspective of the comics at that time. And even later on, I'll show you, there's amazing stuff in here. And then he has these little backup strips, 1-page strips, the hashtag, that just are just well drawn and funny. And you know, I just super enjoyed them and looked forward to them.
I love that logo.
Nice. Yeah.
But then the best one of all, oh my gosh, the best. Quarantine, right? During the quarantine, you're cooped up with quarantine. And each quarantine, it just has a sort of dumb joke about corn.
I love corn.
And that's it. Hey,
corn kid.
Hey, quarantine, want to sneak out and find some fun? What for? I've got all the fun I need right here. This is just like, it's so like,
corn.
He's got some corn and he's got his thing and he's got his corn poster.
Yeah.
He's ready to go. And then a little backup strip of personal comics from the artist talking about his life, talking about how he used to work at Kenny Rogers Roasters. If you remember that classic Seinfeld episode with the Kenny Rogers Roasters sign.
Yeah. They opened up one in my hometown. It really caused a stir when I was a kid. Yeah. Yeah. Because we didn't have many. I'm from a small town in Maryland, and we didn't have many big like name restaurants, like no Applebee's, no nothing. So
Kenny Rogers,
he came in. We'll take a gamble.
I went to one in a mall in Singapore in 1999, I think it was. It might have been one of the last remaining ones.
And he gets around.
Yeah.
Wow,
Okay,
there really is a lot in this issue. Oh, I remember that ad too.
Now, he starts each one with a little bit of his parodies of like the creators that he's doing their comics. And I love these. Like, I love this more than any Rob Liefeld comic I've ever read in my life.
Yes.
Both in art, execution, story design, and character design. Even the names of the characters, and like this Cinder guy, he's like a kind of a burning charcoal briquette style. Like, just, I love every bit of it. To do this book, he had to create parody versions of all the different creators, then the creators themselves, the creators as their own characters, and then these weird, crazy alien characters and stuff too. A lot of work and love went into this thing.
We need to acknowledge.
Yeah, it's insane. So much.
We need to acknowledge for sure.
Oh, dude, he did such a great job. We got to interview him on one of our comic symposiums there we did in the Kayfabe group. And Dave was just an amazing guy. Really cool to talk to. Open, a lover of comics. Clearly, you couldn't make something like this without being so steeped in this world.
Does he have pro work?
No, I think he's just self-published as well.
Because this moments like this where he recounts Spike Lee, and the Spike Lee commercial, and like Spike Lee brought his early book, which is clearly supposed to be like Hawk and Dove.
Yes.
Crimson and Wither. Great. So great. And just so like really like he was so in touch with the history and the culture of what was going on at that time and channels it into this thing.
Yeah. Everything is covered. And when we did Image Grand Design, we did a riff on that commercial. I broke it down to like the camera moves and stuff, and my girlfriend edited it like exactly. We tried to do it exactly.
I almost say if you take that commercial away from him, it didn't happen the same way. It didn't happen like it did.
Hey,
maybe
if we're taking stuff away. Maybe take Twitter away from Rob Liefeld. Just kidding. Love you guys.
Just to help the world. No, we love Rob.
We do.
Rob is one of those guys that I honestly wonder. I go like I was talking about this last time. Like some people like he's so high energy. You go like, is he doing drugs or something? But then on the other hand, I could just see him like he's so hyped up on like comics, and Jesus or whatever he's doing.
It is, and it's like even if it's not for you, it is an amazing, someone who's been in comics for so long to still be so excited about all that, to put out those podcasts, to hear him talk the way he does about the comics. It's amazing.
I kind of like
someday.
Rob's whole personality more than his funny books. You know,
I think so
mean,
too. Yeah.
I dig that guy, man. I
Yeah.
love his high energy, and
It's great.
don't take this the wrong way. Kind of like Eli. He's got the stuff, man.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I want to
be like,
oh, me too. I want to ask him about one thing. I want to ask him about Andrew Rev. That's the only thing I want to talk to him about for an hour.
Man. Yeah, that's not.
Did I tell you he called me a couple times?
Andrew Rev?
Yeah, called me a couple times.
Yeah, oh yeah. Wasn't he trying to get you to work for him or something?
No, talk my ear off for. Yeah, he tried to get me. He said he was just blowing smoke on my ass. He was trying to get to Steve Jeffy or something. But he called me for an hour and we talked. He sent me unpublished Youngblood pages by that he owns that might never see the light of day. He sent me weird.
Yeah.
Okay, another one of these pastiches. He did a letters page from that's just picture perfect of a 90s letter page, right down to the pagination and the yellow background, everything. It's just like the letters columns we were reading then.
Yeah. I wonder if he hand lettered that logo or if it's of the Doomsday Diatribe.
Oh, that looks like a starting spot.
It looks like Starkings.
Oh yeah, I think he did actually mention he uses that. Man, they look so good.
Another personal comic, which was great. These are the best comics, I think. I mean, I'm not putting down the other work, but I love autobio comics and personal stuff and real stuff. So this stuff reached out to me.
He does have some cool. He did a really cool Batman zine too that he put in with mine. Whenever I ordered stuff from him. Hey, with quarantine, you could do Nicotine as well, and you could have
nice
posters and stuff.
Nice. Sick. So when he did these, another hashtag, another quarantine,
look at that.
Another personal strip here, done in different styles with different coloring treatments and different, he's stretching and trying different stuff. Love it. Okay, well, we're only on issue 3. I'm just going to go through them all. I'm just going to go through them because why not?
I had to pop on Star Trek Day, but right now they're on the red carpet with Jerry Ryan talking with the.
Oh boy!
Man,
I'll get you out of here.
No. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. You don't have to. It's really.
I love the whole.
You guys.
You must know the whole thing about Obama was president because of Jerry Ryan's husband.
What?
Do you know that?
No.
Yeah. She's married to some Illinois senator guy who had a sex scandal, and so that's how Obama got into politics.
Oh, wow.
So if he hadn't booted, Obama wouldn't have got his seat, and then that wouldn't happen. So I love that. Every time I see Jerry Ryan, I'm like, oh, your husband was naughty.
Well, and she was also dating was it Brandon Braga or one of the writers on Voyager, one of the big.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Since it was Chicago politics, I wonder how much he paid for that empty seat once it became vacant.
Oh, damn!
Yikes! Well, the Queen is dead.
Sick political commentary.
Fearless loser. That fearless loser goes, oh, for your information, the Queen is dead, and that's why we revolted, right?
Yeah, to not give a shit. That should be a happiest day. That should be celebration across England and the world. That you're
96, man.
German wannabe fucking tyrant is dead. Fuck royalty. Fuck anybody who says they're better than you because of who their parents were. Fuck.
And who, especially when they were inbreeding or whatever, it's all kind of
fuck them.
Yes.
Where's John Price to start singing God Bless America?
Hey, shout out Rick Lopez. You got Cosmic Cat top right there hanging out. His little mini comic from Wizard's been peeking in there the whole episode. That blue mini in the top right of the screen. There you go.
The $1 Million Comics cam.
Hey, shout out Rick Lopez. That's from his comic from Next Panel Press. If I can continue talking about stuff at Next Panel Press on Instagram, where tons of comic creators, including myself, every Sunday put out the Sunday comics, and Rick does Cosmic Cat. I got a new one now. It's basically like Family Circus. It's one panel in a circle.
I love that. Very quarantine-ish.
Very quarantine. Exactly.
We love that. Although this is a 2-panel quarantine. This is where he's stretching his wings. Quarantine is really.
So I don't know. Can you tell us where to get this? Somebody said that in the comments.
Yeah, he sent me. Sent me a link. He sent me a link, and I'm gonna pop.
All
right,
right on.
Yeah,
because that's a really good idea. Like honestly, I didn't even have to see it because Eli said, "Oh, it's like Galaxy Quest meets Image." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm the high concept guy. I'm like, if you can high concept your book like that, where I get it instantly, I will throw you money. That's just amazing. And then to see it, I mean, yes, please. I want to.
I mean, that's kind of like where it starts, but I think it
sure.
goes
No,
like a lot farther.
That's a high concept, right? It's
Oh yeah, Paschetti Western is
there. You go.
So, go check out Paschetti Western on Gumroad. Gumroad, that's a cool site. I've got some plans.
I just took a screenshot of that, so I don't have to go scrolling through like usual trying to find it.
Oh man, yeah, and Dave's a great guy too. I'll put our interview with him in the comments too. It's on my YouTube page as well, youtube.com/Eli Schwab.
So this is the fourth and final issue I have, but it's a 6-issue series.
Is he done or is he still working on it? I can't remember.
No, I believe there's 2 more issues to come.
Okay.
Because the story's still right in the middle of it. In fact, my one gripe in it was sort of like they really focused early on the Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld characters and telling their story and how it connected. And I was like, when are we going to get to hear the rest of these guys? I should not have been worried because we really get Jim Lee as Judas figure in this.
Wow.
In this issue. Where right? So where he is straight up accused by McFarlane of betraying them in 96 when he left to DC Comics. And this character leaves their little conclave and goes back to the big competitor. Same thing obviously happens here. And then that character himself in their sort of like real world where they're together in this crisis and fighting appears to be pulling a sort of Judas move as well.
Wow.
Although that's unresolved and I don't want to spoil anything.
I kind of love that take though, right? I mean, it's like,
yes,
you're abandoning the philosophy for money. And it's like, well, comics is a commercial art, I don't know. I don't blame Jim for that one, honestly.
So, and then here's where this guy became a soulmate with all of us, I think, guys, because the backup in this feature, in this issue rather, is Fire and Brimstone, preaching from the pulpit of an industry engulfed in flames by Gil Grodak, publisher and editor-in-chief of the Comics Clarion, right? So we've got a Gary Groth analog in here. I just hope I haven't read all of the extra back pieces yet. But like the one thing, nobody ever made me feel dumb reading an article about comics until I read Comics Journal articles. And I would have to I'd have to look up like the weirdest words. Gary Groff would constantly use the word qua. And I was like, what the F is qua? It would say comics, qua comics. And I had to look that up, and it means as. So it's like, you need a fancy fucking way to say as. I love it. I love when you're that snooty and intellectual and about comic books of all things.
Come on.
I actually love it. I love Gary. He's been on the show before. And I've been working up the nerve to do like a one-on-one interview with him because he's the top, I think, of publishers in my book as far as publishing great works.
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's no quarantine in this issue though, which disappointed me a lot.
Yeah, send it back.
I'm not gonna
lie. We need a quarantine mini.
But he made up for it with a lot of behind the scenes and making of. We see a lot of design pictures, a lot of him talking about his first pages and how he redid them. And like, this is just a guy who's like, he's like, fuck it. I'm doing comics. I'm going to do this thing. It's in my head. I got to get it out. But he didn't schlock it out. It's put out in such a way that just shows you have to have a lot of different skills, not just be able to draw, right? And like or even to make comics, to produce something like this.
Yeah.
Which the last part of it, my favorite thing is there's an actual ad on the back from my pal Calum's Strange Adventures in Halifax, right? And it's sort of in the style of those old Hostess fruit pie ads, but it's an ad for Strange Adventures comics. Great stuff. It really was. That made up for the lack of quarantine in this issue.
Hell yeah, Dave. Dave Howlett is awesome.
Big props to Dave. I was super impressed by this stuff and surprised, as I always am. But I guess I shouldn't be, because anybody who's got the moxie and the gumption to send their comics in to be reviewed in front of the world,
yes,
has put in some time and it's made some quality stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you, Eli. So I appreciate it. One more time, plug your website and stuff and what you got to talk about.
CosmicLionProductions.com is the main website. Monday the 12th, I'm going to be launching the new website, all new website with the new book Weird Myths. And then every few weeks during the next few months, we're going to have a new books that we're putting out. So keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be different books. There's going to be collections. There's going to be trades. There's going to be all this stuff. CosmicLionProductions.com, at Cosmic Lion on Instagram. And I work at Next Panel Press. You can find my Citizens of Alonia strip in the stories section, in the save stories. And just follow me on all the stuff. Oh, the Devil in Detail podcast, the Grendel Reread podcast, is on YouTube in video form. And that's where you can see like our big interviews with Matt Wagner, Brennan Wagner, Jim Mahfood, the late, great, and amazing Tim Sale. We had an amazing interview with Tim Sale and Dinah Schutz, talking about their work on the on Devil's Child, and Teddy Christensen was in on that one. And we've also had Pander Brothers. We have John K. Snyder. So really, with Matt's help, at the end of each big run, the creators come in and we talk to them, and it's been amazing. Matt,
awesome.
and hopefully, well, when the show comes out, we're going to be the official podcast of the show, we say. And hopefully we can get some of the actors and stuff in, and we're going to really try to get Abu Bakr Ali in to talk. Like, that's who we're really trying to get in, the guy who's playing Hunter Rose.
Oh, whoa, cool. Yeah. Okay, well, would you do me one more favor, Eli?
Yeah.
And maybe just tell the people, if they want to see their comics on the $1 Million Mailbox, where could they send those comics?
Well, if you're looking to get your comics looked at on the $1 Million Mailbox, please send them to P.O. Box 1163, Arcata, California 95518, and send a self-addressed stamped envelope to get part back, to get a business card and maybe a sticker from Dan Sheehy and the $1 Million Mailbox. I'm just saying.
You probably won't. Nah, you might. Send me a snake.
I just wanted to say self-addressed stamped envelope. Remember, everything send that at the end.
Well, if I can't peel the stamp off, I promise I will send you something back. So, thank you for showing up. Larry, thank you. You got anything to hype?
Star Trek Day, right? We're doing Star Trek tomorrow.
Or on YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, you got one thing to hype tomorrow at noon, right?
On the internet. Serious Star Trek. Ooh. Yeah, my Shield book is coming out soon. I gotta figure that one out. I have the opposite of Eli energy in terms of publishing. I just did it for so long. I'm like,
you're the anti-Eli.
That's not for me, man. I'm like, hey, there's a new She-Hulk on.
It's like you're kicking back next to Bill Shannis on a Barker lap or somewhere.
Man, are you following his stuff? That just cracks me up from the old days. He's like turning into like, baby Grogu or something, like going around all over the place with his giant hair and beard.
I love that guy. He's like the godfather of all this stuff. Like, dude, that was like all
Talking about gatekeeping. Talking about gatekeeping, though, you had to get by Bill to join the party. You know what I mean?
The bar was high. Bill's bar was so freaking high, dude.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of taste. Yeah.
That's kind of what I like about what Eli and all the boys, Jim Rugg and all those guys. It's like they kind of don't need distributors anymore, right? So when
Really
Eli
don't.
said, "Yeah, I'm kind of peeling this back. I'm not going to do 400 pages because it's just hard to ship," like I felt that in my bones. Like I would hear once a month from my wife, like, "Why didn't you like collect baseball cards?" Because we're shipping bricks around,
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool that you have like the finger on the audience that's ready to go, and that we get to go to, I don't know, whatever I screen grabbed to get the maker. But,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Cassetti
weird. I'm
West.
glad I don't own a store, a brick and mortar store.
Me
Like
too. dude.
Hijinks just closed, man. Like, I don't know. It's all different.
No, not closing. It's new ownership, a new name. It's going to be there, still serving comics in the San Jose Willow Glen.
Okay, good. I'm glad I got that wrong. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be called Heroes and Champions now, I think, which is like
that's
the exact opposite. When I decided how to name my store, I'm like, how can I not name it Heroes or Champions or anything for that?
Yeah.
Right.
So I came up with Hijinks. 20 years later, oh well, we're right back to Heroes and Champions.
Oh, well.
Damn.
Well, it's still there, so that's good.
Yes.
That's true. Okay, guys, and you know who's going to be here forever? Not me, but next week I will be. I'm going to try to get back on this $1 million mailbox thing. The mailbox is back full again. I got more submissions. I always need more, but I'm just going to keep rolling. And then when I don't have stuff, we'll just talk about comics and talk about what's going on, and maybe bring in more guests too, like you, Eli. This was a lot of fun.
Well, hey, this week Star Trek 400 came out, and then next week Star Trek Lower Decks #1 comic comes out. So there's a little
nice.
fusion of Star Trek and comics coming out that's getting big. Star
Okay,
Trek
well,
400 was amazing.
Check out Sirius Star Trek tomorrow. We are going to bring in. It's official now, Larry.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
We're
no,
bringing
absolutely. I got
Yeah,
a Qualu for Eli already.
We're bringing you in, buddy. Okay, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to play the closing credits here, and I got a little something I'll play at the end of that thing. Thanks everybody for watching. If you like this video, please consider clicking thumbs up on this thing. If you didn't, all right, click thumbs down, but give me a little comment down below. And thanks for watching. We will see you when? Oh yeah, next time.
So I say, it's not Frankenstein, you moron. It's Frankenstein's monster.
Oh, by Cromlin, you sure showed him.